This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Sierra 117, and you're listening to Podcast Unlocked, the world's #1 Xbox podcast. Now, finish this fight. Master Chief, out.
Welcome, friends. It's Podcast Unlocked, episode 479 for January 26th, 2021. Ryan McCaffrey with you alongside the usual crew. Mostly we'll get to that right now. Miranda Sanchez, hi.
Happy Tuesday, or whatever you're listening.
Yeah. Is the cat? Hold up the cat. We need
okay,
we need the little...
she's gonna get angry, but get ready. Here's
if
the
you're listening to
fluff.
audio, you got to watch on video. Oh, goodness.
Here's my fluff.
Goofy.
She's so puffy. And if you're
Oh, my
watching the video, you can
Lucky
also actually
girl.
see my other cat behind me.
Oh, yeah. Just
Yeah, they're
up where
chilling.
my PS5 would be. If I...
Yeah.
Brandon Tyrell, is Penny around? Do we have a check-in from Penny?
First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Bam, because Destin's no longer with us for the foreseeable future.
He's not
No,
dead.
Penny has her best friend over, and they are currently destroying toys in the living room.
Nice.
I walked out to get coffee, and it was just a graveyard of fluff. So the
And
longer this episode goes, the longer I have to clean it up. So let's do a long one today.
You got it. And I want to welcome our permanent fill-in, which of course doesn't make any sense, but no, very kindly joining us for the next few months while Destin Legary's out on paternity leave. Our friend Cam Hawkins, welcome back, sir.
Thank you for inviting me back for such a incredible opportunity. Again, like I've said it on the show, I'm pretty sure I say it on like social media. Like I'm a big Unlocked fan. I've listened to it like going on. It feels like maybe 10 years now, like a just absurd amount of time. And it's just an honor to be here, and I'm very humbled by it. Thank you.
Well, you came dressed for the part today, which I appreciate. Love that. That's from the Xbox collection, right? They're like official.
Yeah, it's like the Gradient Sphere T-shirt or something like that. Yeah, it's a really cool tee.
Yeah, looking good. And we already, last time you were here, we went over your insane backdrop and the incredible collection that's going on behind you. If you're listening on audio, you got to at least just check in on video for this one on youtube.com/IGN Unlocked. Now, is your puppy nearby? Or oh yeah, right there.
No, she isn't. No, she's not nearby.
Well, Daisy won't come in the room during the podcast anymore either, because I have to close the window shade for the glare, and that's where she likes to just sit and look out the window. So now I guess she takes her anger out on me by just leaving the room for the podcast. But
So you guys just got to get some cats. Have them all the time.
Daisy would love that. My cat allergy would not.
Oh.
That would not.
Exactly. Same energy.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get to Podcast Unlocked here, IGN's weekly Xbox show. There is a lot to cover this week, and Destin's already missing out. You know how he's chosen to
How
be
dare you become a father?
a new dad instead of
I'm
talk
gonna
about
miss the
video
news
games.
unlocked. Let me coddle my baby.
Oh my goodness! No, we wish him and his wife the best. I know we're still waiting for the news as of recording this. So hopefully we'll have a good update for you guys on that front next week.
What if it happens during Unlocked?
Maybe
We go
we'll get
now
text
to a
message,
live
you never know.
feed from.
Let's go live to the delivery room. Destin, and it'd be like, bam, the baby's out.
Followed by bam, bam, oh no, bam.
Oh goodness. All right. The one sort of just point I wanted to bring up real quick is you might be listening to this going, are you going to be talking about the Medium? Because that's like the first big Xbox next-gen exclusive at all. It's first big Xbox game of the year. No, we will not be talking about the Medium, just simply because the embargo gods, as usual, did not smile upon us. The review embargo for the Medium, which is the game on my screen behind me, just the screenshot there, is the review embargo is after this show posts. So we will talk about it next week. And that means you three, the Unlocked crew, your homework is to play the Medium between now and next week's show, because we're definitely going to want to talk about it. I will say I've started it, but I can't say anything more than that. I'm not reviewing it, obviously. I'd have finished it by now if I was. But look forward to some chat on the Medium next week. News-wise, let's get to it. Now, this was unquestionably the big story. This was just wild, and I don't want to talk too much because I want to get the discussion going with all of you. But you probably saw if you were plugged into the community at all on Friday, you definitely heard about this. You probably had a pretty strong reaction to it. So, doing the typical like Friday bad news dump, Microsoft announced on Friday morning that Xbox Live Gold would be doubling in price on an annual basis, going from $60 a year to $60 every 6 months. And I believe it was $11 for 1 month, $30 for 3, I believe. So, it's needless to say, this did not go over well here in the middle of a pandemic. Just such a drastic price increase. That's enough for me. I want to take me back to where you were when you first heard this on Friday. Miranda, I'm going to go your way first.
I saw it at first. I was like, oh man, everyone seems so angry. What's happening? I was like, what? Why would you double your price like that? That's wild. I think especially just with Xbox Live Gold, it feels like an obligation, right? Like if you don't have Game Pass Ultimate, you're paying for it because you want to be able to be online. Right. Games with Gold still is rolling around. Like we do get some good games every now and then, but ultimately Games Pass is the one that we look to have like the access to all the games. And so it feels a little less exciting. So it's more of just like, again, an obligation to pay it so that I can be online rather than like an excitement for anything other than being able to get online.
Like a utility, like paying your internet bill, right?
Exactly that. And so suddenly saying, hey, sorry, but we're doubling this. It's just, excuse me? Not even just like some slow incremental thing, just flat out doubled. No.
Yeah. Cam Hawkins, when Friday morning, what was your reaction when you saw this?
Yeah, I actually have a lot to say about this because I really like thought about the nitty gritty of everything. So like when I woke up and I was checking Twitter, saw like the news already broke out, and everyone was really upset. And my first like kind of response was confusion. And the reason why I say that is like, I think, base level, we can say that price going up, especially during a pandemic, just for anything, just generally sucks. Like it sucks when things go up in price. And we know that like, following later that day, Microsoft reversed it, Xbox reversed it, and also now free-to-play games are free to play. You don't need gold to play like Fortnite, Warzone, things like that. But before that, I just looking in the nitty gritty, I was just thinking about why would they do this? And for me, the way I saw it was, I feel like in the past year or so, a big like kind of conversation that we've had is just like Game Pass has so much value for $15, but like we know that at some point this price is going to have to go up because it's just like. So like, like with the deals that they make for other developers to like launch games on Day Pass day one, especially a lot of indie titles. I know that Microsoft is $1 trillion company at this point, but Xbox still only gets so much money,
Sure.
And so for me, it was just like, this seemed like the best like the best option in a bad situation, if that makes sense, because to me, there was like 3 possibilities they could have done. They could have raised the price of just Game Pass and just been like, Game Pass is more expensive now.
Right. And you're referring, by the way, to Game Pass Ultimate, which is
Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, Ultimate
correct.
Includes gold. Regular $10 a month Game Pass does not.
Correct. Yes, Game Pass Ultimate, and they could just done that, which they don't want to do. They want to keep it as cheap as possible. Then they could have just removed gold altogether. Like you have to buy if you want gold, you have to subscribe to Ultimate, and that would not have gone well either. So to me, the best case scenario of what they could have done to keep this value for Game Pass at $15 was to up the price of gold. And I understand that people definitely could have seen that, and I think to a degree it is true that they are trying to push people into subscribing to Game Pass Ultimate, because it's like now, instead of a $5 difference, it's a $4 difference if you pay monthly, that is. So for me, I was just like, Well, I also feel like that most people that do subscribe to Gold, Gold specifically, pay at a monthly basis. So, like, I know that the bundles doubling in price was huge, but if you subscribe monthly, it's just an extra $12 a year at the end of the day. And again, more money is more money, and that sucks. But I just feel like there is a reason as to why they did this, and now that they kind of doubled back on it and put Gold back to $10 a month, and the normal prices for the 3-month, 6-month, 12-month, that I think that sooner than it was originally planned, we're gonna see an increase in Game Pass Ultimate for monthly prices.
Brandon Tyrell, not the best Friday for Microsoft.
There have been better, I think, for sure. Yeah, we're already pretty deep down the rabbit hole, so I guess I saw Xbox Live trending on Friday morning and was like, oh, Xbox Live games with gold have been announced. Awesome. And quickly realized that was not the case. So similar to Cam, my first reaction was one of confusion. I was just like, all right, what is everyone up in arms about? Because you can pretty quickly gather sentiment based on what people are tweeting. And it wasn't good. So, after digging a little bit, seeing the price hike, my initial reaction is like, well, that's not good. Like that's just that's very tone deaf to the current situation going on. And I think in hindsight now we all see that and they see that. Strangely though, my first thought was, oh, cool. They're trying to drive subscribers to Game Pass Ultimate. Like that's what the goal of this was, because like Cam says, I don't know if I agree that price increase for Ultimate is coming, but I know they can definitely offset that cost by converting Gold subscribers to Game Pass Ultimate.
Right.
And it seemed like bringing those two prices closer to parity is I honestly could see the whole thing unfolding, right? Like a guy sitting behind a spreadsheet saying like, well, I mean, if there's only a $5 difference, why wouldn't you subscribe for Ultimate? It's so much more value for just $5. And on paper, yeah, that checks out, but you're forgetting a large portion of the demographic that doesn't actually subscribe to Game Pass. They use Xbox Live Gold. And strangely enough, like Gold has gotten a free pass for a long time about charging for an online service to play games that are free, right? Like Fortnite. Yeah. And that I was a little confused because like this has just been, I guess, grandfathered in. It's been an artifact of the service for so long, and now people are, were voicing concern and up in arms about it. Rightfully so, right? Like there's no reason for that when you have competitors who are, offering free games for free with their online service. So my initial reaction was just, this is very, very bad from an optics standpoint and for the end consumer. I understand why they did it, right? To try to convert, but as we all saw, pretty quickly, I think everyone caught wise to just what a really bad way to go about that it was.
And I think a lot of the shock that we all went through from this news is and doing for the last few years of really putting gamers first. This just seemed like the opposite of that. So it seemed very out of character for them. Miranda, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's out of line for them to need to raise prices for whatever reason. Nobody wants that. But right. If they're like, we've seen Netflix and other places that have subscription service slowly, incrementally increase those prices. And that would make the most sense, not just flat out double like overnight. Which obviously is not exactly overnight, but just saying that you're going to do that without a lot of explanation as to why is really tough. And again, the circumstances around it just felt even worse. But I am glad that they did roll that back, that they have a lot of feedback and are making better changes for it. So a mistake did lead to better things, at least. As far as like free-to-play games being truly free, that is a big deal. And I don't know, like for me personally, I actually buy my gold year per year. I don't do a month-by-month basis. So I actually go back to, I pay for Game Pass Ultimate now rather than doing gold just because it made more sense for me and for work and such. But so I know I used to be that person that would wait for the deals on the cards for the year to go on
Sure.
sale.
Me too.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I think if you had to suddenly wait for those for it to be anywhere close to like what you would have paid just normally, would have been a bit better, I think. But again, it's not the reality we live in anymore, and it's good to see that they did adjust quickly.
So I looked it up, and Xbox Live Gold has not seen a price increase since 2010. It's been a full decade. It started in 2002 as a $49.99 a year, and it went up to $59.99 in 2010. So even that was 8 years, and then there hadn't been an increase, and now technically there still hasn't been an increase since. So yeah, you're totally right, Ryan. It's like increasing costs is understandable. You mentioned Netflix, but yeah, just like going for the rip the Band-Aid approach in one fell swoop of like, we're doubling this. Like, whoa, guys, what the heck? Particularly, I mean, yes, Microsoft financials exist by themselves, but in the context of the community, this stuff does not happen in a vacuum. I mean, you've got PlayStation Plus with your chief competitor that's still at $60, and you've got a company, Microsoft, they've got a little bit of a fresh start. I mean, this is kind of generations aren't really fresh starts anymore like they used to be, but you've got Microsoft trying to win back some of the market share that they lost in the Xbox One generation. And this just seems like this was going to be a really dumb way to try to like, really, guys? You really think you're going to lure in more people by having your online service be double what your main competitor costs? So, yeah. So the part two here, of course, as we've already been alluding to, is on Friday evening. So it's just before 9 p.m. So 6 a.m. the price increase is announced. Just before 9 p.m. Pacific time, about 15 hours later, Microsoft posts a blog. Let's see. Here we go. I did include the quote here. They posted a blog update saying, "We messed up today and you were right to let us know. Connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we failed to meet the expectations of players who count on it every day. As a result, we have decided not to change Xbox Live Gold pricing. We're turning this moment into an opportunity to bring Xbox Live more in line with how we see the player at the center of their experience. Free-to-play games will truly be free, and you will no longer need an Xbox Live Gold membership to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months." So in a roundabout, dark way, this ended up being a net positive, right, Brandon?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could call it a net positive
for us, not for Microsoft,
for sure. Minus the 12 hours of backlash. Look, it's weird. This whole situation is weird, and I'm glad we ended up here. Don't like how we got here, but they always say it's the journey, not the destination, but I think we have to invert that this time around, and just really appreciate where we all ended up, and forget that like this was almost a very bad, like to the tune of like TV bad optics.
Yeah.
So appreciate the quick reversal. Obviously, everyone was freaking out. Obviously, everyone was working incredibly hard. Shout out to Microsoft's decision makers, their comms team. This was a Friday night, and it kind of, I don't know if we're going to save it, but it does skirt into the whole talking point that we've seen about, there's this weird conspiracy theory that it was all planned so good guy Microsoft could show up at the end. And there are so many ways that you can refute that. Least of all the fact that all of these people were working at 9 p.m. on a Friday night. Like, if you think they plan a marketing reversal to make themselves look good that stretches into the start of the weekend, you're crazy. Like, I have a picture of Bigfoot riding the Loch Ness Monster in the Bermuda Triangle that I would love to sell you if you subscribe to this conspiracy theory. So it is not. It's silly. It's very
this is
silly.
this is not Aaron Greenberg playing 4D chess.
Yeah, right. Like cosmic brain. Okay, what if we get all of our staff to work till 10 p.m. on Friday?
Like Aaron's a smart guy. He's been in his position for many years, but this was definitely. I can assure you, this was not some sort of like pre-planned thing. But yeah, on that note, Cam, you have to imagine that Phil Spencer and the higher ups were in some unexpected meetings on Friday afternoon and into Friday evening.
Yeah. I'm still like kind of thinking about what you guys were talking about earlier with the the price jump thing, because I know this is obviously an unpopular opinion, but for me, I kind of like would have preferred a straight up price jump instead of a casual like rise, because just the amount of drawback that this one got. I don't know. I just feel like getting the jump would have I would be more okay with, because it's just ripping the Band-Aid. It's like I don't know. I attune more to that philosophy, I guess. Just like it's done. It's a one-time thing, and you shouldn't expect it anytime in the foreseeable future at all. But yeah, but with Phil Spencer, obviously Phil Spencer is just like, I love that guy. I think that he is very attuned to what we're looking for, like what Xbox as a platform needs to be to stand out, because Game Pass obviously is a very great thing that they exclusively offer, but like there's still progress. There's a long progress still that to get that like pro consumer viewpoint from players. Like I talked to some people on Twitter as well about everything, and they were like, I've never thought that Microsoft or Xbox was pro consumer. Like I don't, they get too much goodwill like right now. I'm like, I don't know what you want from them then, but they've just consistently been being about the players, about making Xbox, whether you're playing on console, PC, xCloud, like the best experience that they can give. And I don't know, I'm glad that Phil Spencer was able to just immediately was like, all right, let's just fix this and move on from there.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. Like even though this was a self-inflicted wound on Microsoft's part, they do get credit for addressing it quickly. I mean, this kind of we've seen this as well, like with Halo. I mean, they had to swallow a lot of pride to. I mean, I know, yes, you could. There are certainly business reasons why they did it, but it did take a large swallowing of pride to push Halo out from launch last year. Like that's there's a complicated decision, and I'm not sure every company would have made it, but it's interesting that you bring up, Cam, that you wouldn't necessarily have a problem with a price increase, because I had a similar thought. I will tell you guys one thing. There is a circumstance under which I would happily pay more for Xbox Live Gold. And I believe I've said this on the podcast before, but probably not in a while. I don't know if anybody remembers this. I still have mine. This is my Xbox Live Diamond card. I guess I should cover up the number. Not that it really matters because the program's dead, but I don't think that's going to focus. There it goes.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
The Diamond card.
It's so cool.
That's so cool.
Now, this was for like getting discounts at certain retailers and things, but the reason I bring this up is, so you have Xbox Live Gold. This was Xbox Live Diamond. I have long wanted a premium tier Xbox Live online service where I could pay more, and basically it was like where everybody would pay more, and you had to be vetted, meaning like your any like complaints against you in online games would be held against you, and you might not be let in. And if you're a dick in a game, if you racked up enough complaints, you would be booted out of the service. But you would only be, if this were a new Xbox Live Diamond, or let's call it Xbox Live Platinum, it's a bunch of people that are paying more, and you're gonna get a quality experience without people just being a-holes on online in your games. Like, which, by the way, that's how Xbox Live was in the very beginning. If I could get in a time machine to go back and experience old gaming things. Like I would go back to the Rock Band days. I would go back. Another one I would want to go back to is the early Halo 2 days, and the early Xbox Live days were great days because not that there weren't bad people, there were trolls on there, but they were few and far between. Like most people in the very early days were there because they really wanted to be there. You could, people would strategize with you. Like it was real. Like it really was like this utopian online thing. Everybody had broadband, everybody had a microphone, everybody was cool and wanted to be there. It was great. So if Microsoft wants to raise prices on Xbox Live Gold, give me that. Give me
paying for premium matchmaking.
Yes, give me a premium membership where I'm only matched up with other fellow premium subscribers, and if you're a dick, you get kicked out and of that tier. So
would you be worried about some of the skill-based matchmaking that would get messed up because of essentially parsing these player bases even further? Like I think that's a problem with some games too, is like as the game ages, as people from that initial wave of like, I guess like the launch players essentially kind of dissipate, they go play other games. You have harder times with matchmaking because there are fewer player bases, so they have to start like either rotating maps or just doing other things. Do you think that would contribute to that problem even more?
Brando, why do you have to go and bring up good points and make sense? Can't you just let me have this?
I think, if anything, if that were to come to pass, my only wish was that if you were queuing with someone who was with that premium membership, that you got their benefits too. Because, I guess it would say, like, if there's like one member in your lobby who has like that little mark that says, I'm paying more for the service, then you all benefit from it. I don't know.
But then their behavior is on you, right? As the premium subscriber. So if they're being dicks, then it gets held against you.
Well, so
I think this could work.
You know what would have been better though? What if they just fix matchmaking so that people who do get a lot of reports or have bad behavior just don't get good queues anymore? What if we just fix it instead of having to get paid more? What if online memberships were free? Because we're already paying for internet. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. So I actually have a friend who like is just very like not about Game Pass. Like he thinks it's a cool thing, but it's just like not for him. And so I asked, like, I was talking to him about it. I was just like, what do you think about this situation? And he said, like, what he would have like preferred in general, similar to what you're saying, Ryan, is a like a middle like something between Xbox Live Gold and and Game Pass Ultimate, where it was more or less you get Gold, but then you also get like a small catalog of what Game Pass has to offer. As a middle ground. So when you say like you wanted something like kind of like an upgraded Gold, like there are other people that like seemingly would be down for that idea. Just more the specifics of what comes with it.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, certainly, Cam, earlier with this. This certainly was seemingly a pretty thinly veiled effort to drive more people to Game Pass Ultimate. But again, kudos to Microsoft. They did roll this back. They got it right, even after they had to shoot themselves in the foot first. But then they drove themselves to the hospital and got it bandaged up. The doctor's like, don't do that again.
Came back stronger.
But yes, and at least we did get a long time wrong got righted out of this in the end, which was, as Miranda was talking about, with free-to-play multiplayer games. No longer will require, although that hasn't been implemented yet. So we still need to kind of hold Microsoft accountable on that. We don't have a date for when. That's probably because they literally had to decide it in a moment on Friday without, so that I'm sure it'll be soon. They're not, I don't think they're going to just leave it hanging out there for months and months, but that was good to see. Okay. So normally that would be like the big topic of the week, but there's something else. Now, this is just a rumor, but this be still my heart. A rumor is out there that a new Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is in development, that it's by someone other than EA or BioWare. So now we know that Star Wars games are in development at non-EA studios. We got the Ubisoft massive studio announcement that we talked about on last week's show. Now, this was reported by VGC, and this latest rumor comes courtesy of a credited Star Wars insider, the Bespin Bulletin, who spoke on a recent podcast. And the episode is that what was said on here is that it's said to be in development outside of EA, and that, quote, will never guess who the studio is that's making this game. On the podcast, the insider says, amongst my digging, I heard there is a Knights of the Old Republic project in development somewhere. I talked to a couple of people, and I also found out that Jason Schreier said that it's not with EA and will never guess who the studio is that's making this game. And then later on Reset Era, Wushu Studios' Nate Nadja also respond to this. So as another developer, so it's kind of an inside source on the other side, on the game side, rather than the Star Wars side, saying, quote, it's not as mysterious as you think. It's just not a household name most people are aware of. So corroborating the rumor that the game's in development and corroborating the idea that it's, that we'll never guess who it is. Brandon Tyrell, there aren't a lot of studios that I would trust with a KOTOR. What do you make of this?
Yeah, that's strange. I mean, we already had the week of Star Wars game Media Blitz, right? So I'm surprised we didn't hear about this. I wonder if they're saving this for E3 or whatever E3 ends up being this year. Right? I don't know. Obsidian, In Exile. Like if we're talking Microsoft Studios,
those are the ones you'd guess. That's the problem, right? Those are RPG studios.
No, if you're looking at the second point of that, neither of those I would consider household names, right? So yeah. I don't know. Like, is Turn 10 making a Star Wars code? It may not even be. I mean, certainly it's more likely than not that it's not a first party Microsoft studio. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see who it can be.
I have no idea, because if it's not EA or BioWare, and I know like you tweeted out, Ryan, like Larian would probably be the one that makes sense to me, but they're working on Baldur's Gate 3. And I don't know. I'm in a very similar boat with Ryan, where like I think only very specific studios I can see like trustworthy on working on a new KOTOR title. And if it's not a household name, then like, I mean, I think Obsidian's a household name. I feel like most people you talk to knows who Obsidian is. But I can, I think it does, like, it's kind of like 50-50 on that end, depending on like who you're talking to specifically. But I think most people know who Obsidian Entertainment is. But even so, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess we'll wait and see right now. But I want a new KOTOR, and I hope that like whoever it is, really like knows what they're doing.
Miranda, could it be? I mean, because KOTOR, they're Western RPGs, but they were like turn-based combat. Could it be a Japanese RPG developer? Maybe.
No,
that'd be kind of cool. I would be interested to see how that would change things. So, for context, I never got to play KOTOR, and I was definitely one of those people who was asking. Excuse me, Google's like, "Oh, do you need something?" That is my Google Home. Yeah, it's reading a long thing. I'm so sorry. This is what happens when you work from home. I'm muting myself. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Okay,
keep going.
Okay.
She stopped. Okay. I apologize. I actually I'm so sorry. I feel really bad.
I think that's the best moment of the show so far.
Yeah. Would you like us to add a Star Wars to your shopping list?
I actually don't even know what she was talking about. Okay. I never got to play KOTOR, so I was one of those people just making sure it doesn't ask. Doesn't start saying anything. I'm so sorry.
Miranda's going to be whispering in the mic, hiding from her Google Assistant.
She can hear us.
She's just supposed to remind me to clean the cat litter. That's it.
Call is coming from inside the house.
So I always ask, it's like, is it really worth playing KOTOR in 2020? I am actually. That was literally a first result whenever you search KOTOR. And I don't really know. I've always heard that it's kind of a hard thing to get back to. People are like, if you download mods, if you do these things. No. And I kind of just feel like if it is a new one, like a reboot, a fresh re-entry to the series, or just brings us up to like modern standards, that would be really cool. As long as I think it keeps like maybe the heart of what you guys love about it. Because Ryan, I honestly do want to experience whatever you got to play whenever it first came out. So that's what I want to know. As far as the studio who's doing it, part of me thinks that it's going to be something that, or a studio that maybe doesn't work on RPGs as much as we'd expect them to, because it's something that we'll never guess, right? And so I think they're looking at studios that don't do those, or aren't necessarily as known for RPGs. So whenever I think of anything that's sort of like open world, and it's weird to say dusty, I was like, oh, I was thinking about like the desert planets or anything. I was like, but what about Avalanche Studios could maybe do something cool? They did Mad Max, and I really liked that game, and I think I'd be interested to see what they do with like a big RPG, but I don't really know. I think the whole trick of we'll never guess. This is a challenge, but also is this a challenge I'm going to take?
Yeah.
Can I just wait to see if this happens?
I think that's a really good point. It's like, it is a challenge, but is it really a game you want to play?
Yeah.
The only way to win is not to play.
Well, Miranda, let me ask you this. Have you had, at some point in time, have you had the story spoiled for you at all for KOTOR?
No. Actually, no.
Okay.
Oh man.
Play it.
Man.
Play
Yeah,
it.
you gotta play it, man. You really gotta play it now.
I'm not gonna spoil it. I would never do that.
No, not you. Everyone else out there, please don't spoil it. Also play Outer Wilds, but
like, I mean, you could just download it for $10.
Right.
It's playable on, it's original Xbox. It's backwards compatible. But yeah, or you could just download it on PC and it would run, even better. But it's, I mean, pretty much everything's real time now in most modern, especially Western RPGs, and KOTOR's not. But I actually really love the combat system, like where you can pause combat, you can stack attacks. It's really clever combat, and the whole light side, dark side choice and dichotomy, and you can. Oh man, like you can double cross a guy that you double crossed. Like you can triple cross someone. It was the first game that I ever remember where you could actually be evil and the game would fully support those choices and not just like actually you're really just being good, and like no, you can go full dark side, which I did. And it was so good. I would wholeheartedly encourage you to still play it in 2021.
Okay.
It's really good.
Noted.
It is my favorite role-playing game of all time. Followed pretty closely by that same team's Mass Effect 1.
Yes, I will say huge Mass Effect fan. I love it very much. I really like BioWare's games, so I think it is probably something I should put on my list of this is something I'm going to maybe go back to. I try to go back to a few games every year, or just games that I missed for whatever reason, so that might be one of them.
Now, that said, we were talking a little bit about this off air, and this was me. I'm going to go into old man yelling at a cloud mode for a second. Assuming, since this does sound like it's happening, my default assumption is that this game will be like in some way designed around like live service, microtransaction, some kind of annoying 21st century modern long tail game design BS that's just going to make me mad. Like if you play Mass Effect or KOTOR 1 or KOTOR 2 for that matter, they're just self-contained 40-hour role-playing games without any outside interference or any of that stuff. And they're just awesome standalone things. And I feel like now games, especially big budget, big name games, just aren't made that way anymore. Mm-hmm. They're all built with monetization hooks in them. I just feel like there's going to be something about this that annoys the heck out of me. But again, I'm an old man. I just hope that if this project's indeed moving forward, it's got to have a really, really strong story in it. I mean, I know that goes for any RPG really, but especially if there's going to be another KOTOR after, ultimately it's probably going to be 20 years, because the first one was 2003, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I believe it was 03. So yeah, and there's no way, if the EA deal doesn't end until 2023. So it's going to be 20 years, maybe 21, maybe 22. they've got to bring an incredibly strong story. So whoever you are out there, mystery developer, if you're hearing this, please don't let us down. There's a lot of hope and faith riding on this one. Miranda, were you looking to jump in there?
I was going to say, I'll be an optimist in the rumor and say that, although those, very annoying mechanics sometimes do come in, I'd say there's a fair number of games that don't have them these days. And it's okay to be a little optimistic about it. So I'm going to be optimistic about this potential for something different. And again, this is a rumor, so we have no idea.
It's true. We like the more recent Assassin's Creed games, like they do have those things, but they're not remotely mandatory. And it's still like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like me and Brennan talked about on Review Crew, like great game, like, that it's there, but not an option, which is fine with me.
It's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Like if you want to put microtransactions in your game or, have some sort of live monetization structure, totally cool. But just if I don't want to see it, like I shouldn't feel impacted by it. And I think that's the way to go. But I think the real question is how many V-Bucks it'll cost to change your lightsaber color.
I almost walked away from this desk. I almost walked away from this desk right now.
I don't have much to add for KOTOR. I played it like 15 years ago and don't remember it. So
building your lightsaber in that game, I mean,
was cool. Yeah,
it was very cool. I know some of you might be like, spoiler, like, well, duh, you build a lightsaber in a 40-hour Star Wars role-playing game. It's really fun. That quest, that whole process is really fun.
Sassy Ryan is my favorite Ryan.
And you can pick your color. You can customize your lightsaber color.
Can it be purple?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Purple, yes.
Go
Actually, I feel like I looked at this list. No, that was a different game, different Star Wars game. But yay. Cool.
All right, let's move on. Hey, Brandon Tyrell,
Hey,
this
what's
one
up?
is up your and my alley specifically. Cam, are you a big Diablo guy?
No, Diablo spiders, can't play them.
All right, okay, that's
true.
Understandable. So, Brandon, I got to go to you first on this. This was a rumor that actually IGN ran a story on late last year, 2020, and it's back in a much bigger way, in a much more confirmed way. So Vicarious Visions, the developer that's done some great original stuff like Skylanders and some great remake and remaster stuff, like most recently the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remaster that was very well regarded, the Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy remasters, etc. Now they're under Activision. You've got Activision Blizzard, of course, is one company, but they do kind of operate separately. Well, Vicarious Visions is being merged into Blizzard, and they are apparently that's fact. Now the rumor portion comes with this part. Mm-hmm. They are apparently now they've been handed the reins, and they are leading the charge on a Diablo 2 remake, which will be allegedly coming to consoles as well as PC. This was reported by Bloomberg. Up until 2020, the Diablo 2 remake was set to be developed by Blizzard's Team 1, which is located at its Irvine, California campus, and was the go-to group for reworking classic games. Its latest title, Warcraft 3 Reforged, was not received positively and currently has a 59 on Metacritic, which also happens to be Blizzard's lowest score to date. So now it's apparently been handed over to Vicarious, and the Diablo 2 remake's a real thing.
Yeah, I can't recall. There was a specific reason Warcraft 3 didn't do well. The Reforged, was it like the cinematics, or it just wasn't? It wasn't remastered. I can't remember the exact reason, but
I heard it was just bad. I just heard it was I just heard it was pretty bad across the board. Yeah.
Was beside the point. I mean, bringing on Vicarious Visions to do, like, if there's any company that has the catalog to dip into remasters and like rehashing their old games, it's Blizzard, and it's clearly the direction they've been going for a while now. Warcraft 3, Diablo, even like WoW Classic, right? So it fits. It makes sense. I think we're going to continue to see more of this. Obviously, WoW has many more expansions that they're going to seemingly remaster, and with Diablo, I think bringing on a team to touch D2 in a way that improves upon it, I think is important because of how close that game is to a lot of people's hearts. Like Ryan, I know you're a huge fan of it. I'm a huge fan of D2.
It's in my personal top 5 of all time.
Yeah,
it's that high up for me.
So I think it's something to be excited about. Now, I don't know the timeline on that, right? I think every year I predict that we're going to see a D2 remaster and a D4 announcement at BlizzCon. And every year I just cry into a pillow for a good 10 minutes. So I'm not going to do that this year. Instead, I'm going to say I would be shocked if they're not leveraging the talent and the expertise of Vicarious Visions to work on D2. I don't know when that's coming, but I think that would be better for it. In the end product would be better for it. And God, I just thinking about it, I'm so excited to see like completely redone cinematics of just always west, always walking west. God, that game is good. I'm excited for it. I think it's cool.
It's now I wonder
or to east. Sorry, did I say west? I meant east.
I wonder if this was originally planned to be part of like a 20th anniversary celebration, which was last year, because it was June of 2000 that Diablo 2 came out. Maybe not, but obviously the pandemic got in the way, and clearly there were, according to Bloomberg's report, these development issues in which Vicarious was brought in. I mean, interestingly, this isn't the first time that Blizzard has straight up folded in an external developer that was working on something for them. If you guys remember StarCraft Ghost, which never came out, first it was an internal team, then it was an external team, and then they folded that external team, whose name I'm completely blanking on now. They brought them in, and the game still never came out, but hopefully this Diablo 2 remake fares better. Miranda, did you ever have a chance to play 2, or is 3 your first one?
3 was my first one, and I didn't really enjoy it, so I didn't bother playing any of the other ones.
Yeah. 3 went down that road where it changed it from more of a story-driven thing, like Ryan was saying, into a more games as a service-driven thing. So I'm totally with you as well. Like if you got into Diablo with 3, there's a marked difference between 2 and 3.
Right. I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people love it, but I think the story didn't really hook me, and the mechanics early on weren't my kind of game, I guess you could say. It just didn't hook me as well, and I kind of was playing in the ideal setting as well. Like I had one of my best friends with me, we're just kind of running around, and just like, I don't ever feel the need to come back to this, but I'm glad I experienced it. Now I know what it's about. But hopefully they do well with this remake if it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, if Vicarious nails this, I would say they would probably cement their place as like
the remaster team.
Remaster remake kings alongside Bluepoint, right? Bluepoint's really known for that, from doing various Sony and Nintendo things over the years, and doing just a killer job on bringing classic things back. But so as reported by GamesIndustry.biz, as far as the merger into Blizzard from Activision goes for Vicarious, the Vicarious Visions team of about 200 people will now be employees of Blizzard and are, quote, fully dedicated to existing Blizzard games and initiatives, end quote. This means Vicarious Visions will no longer be creating games as a lead developer. So they are a support studio, but they're very talented. So they will hopefully be making Blizzard better, starting with this Diablo 2 remaster, because God, they've got to. If they don't get this right, then I might be at the front of the pitchfork and torch mob if they don't get this one right. But I will say, just on a final note with this, the original creator of Diablo and also Diablo 2, David Brevik, I had him on my interview show, IGN Unfiltered, a couple of years ago. And I brought this up, like the idea of what if this came back, how would you feel about it? And I'm totally paraphrasing here, but he said that because of the way the game was like physically built, that it would be tough to bring it back like in a remaster kind of form on modern platforms with just, different like 16:9 aspect ratio and everything else. And so and it does sound like this Diablo 2 Resurrection will be a remake, which is Brandon, I think you'd agree, is there's a higher ceiling on that for how good it can be, or which we've seen with like the Resident Evil remakes.
Yeah,
but
and
also a lower
and
floor.
a lower floor. Yeah, the margin for error is much larger when you're remaking something, but it also, I mean, depending on how much time and resources you have, a remake, I think, tends to have better results than remasters, at least as far as presentation is concerned. There's only so much you can do when you're remastering, I imagine, like having never done one myself, but seen enough of them to know that there are some really underwhelming remasters out there. But if you have a remake, there are many bad remakes out there as well. But I think more often than not, they come off in a way that is, it hits those two notes that are super important in a remake, which is modernization and nostalgia. And if you can nail both of those, then I think your remake has a really good shot. So again, I know I sound like a broken record. I am super excited. Like that game was many, many hours for me. So
yeah,
I can't wait. Go ahead.
If they nail it, it'll probably be my personal game of the year. If they nail it.
Jesus. Right.
What?
You're already
no hiding it.
It's
like
you're already thinking.
I said personal, not necessarily the thing I would vote for in in an IGN thing, but just for me because of what that game means to me.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
No, I think that's fine. Like you like, I think going into every year you have like based off the games that are announced, like you have an idea like, oh, this game will probably be my game of the year by the end of the year. Like that was me with Final Fantasy VII Remake last year, and it ended up being my game of the year. Like, it just happens.
The game I hope I'm casting my ballot for is Halo Infinite. Like I want Halo Infinite to be so good that it's like my no-brainer vote on IGN for game of the year. But just like, for my personal, like I would be thrilled if the Diablo 2 remake was so good that was like my Ryan Award game of the year.
Yeah.
All right. Resident Evil Village, aka Resident Evil 8. Cam, have you played the Maiden demo? I know it's on PS5. It's sadly not the demo's not on Xbox.
Yeah, it's on PS5. I have a PS5. I haven't played the demo personally because I haven't played Resident Evil 7. So like I watched the showcase and I really like Resident Evil from what I've played, but most of them have spiders in them, so I can't play most of them. But I played RE2 Remake. Really enjoyed that, and I know that, so I kind of want to, at the very least, maybe get a recap on the story of 7, and then go into 8, hoping that there are no spiders, and then and enjoy that, because like I am digging everything I'm seeing about this game. Like I'm not a big horror gamer at all. Like I'm very much a scaredy cat when it comes to most horror games, but like everything I saw in the showcase, I'm like, this looks incredible. Like the environments, everything, the aesthetic, it looks great. And I can, they said that there's a lot of inspiration and design from Resident Evil 4, which is highly considered like the best Resident Evil game. So there's just like a lot to look forward to. Like even the shot going into the like main lobby of this mansion is like, it's gorgeous. Looks like a gorgeous game. I really am looking forward to hoping to enjoy this game when it drops in May. And I probably will download the Maiden demo, but at the very least, they did say that there is a demo coming to both platforms later on that will probably be more actual gameplay combat oriented. So that I'm looking forward to.
So yes, Xbox gamers, thank you for mentioning that. We'll have a chance to try it. I don't think they gave a date for that, right? But I would imagine it's in April if the game's out. So it's May 7th is the release date. That's the news here for Xbox fans is May 7th. Which is really one of the first concrete release dates for a big next-gen game. Mm-hmm. Although, they on that same showcase last week, they did also announce that it's coming to Xbox One and PS4 day and date as well. So it was originally announced as a next-gen exclusive. It turns out it will be a cross-gen game. Miranda, I know you're going to be first in line to play the spooky Resident Evil Village.
No.
Next question.
The designs are cool, but I'm too scared. I don't want to necessarily stress myself out. However, I think I've actually come around to enjoying watching people play horror games more. One of my friends started streaming horror games, and I just like wanted to support her and watch. And so like I'll watch behind. I grab one of my journals near me. My cat's biting me. I'm sorry. And I'll just hide behind it, like when it gets scary, and that helps me. And then Ari bites me, and it's fine. And then we turn off the game, and then we walk away. That's actually something that I'm a little worried about as far as like the medium. I'm worried about how scary it's going to be. And so I've kind of taken to watching horror things in daylight hours only. So I have time to chill out. But I mean, it looks really cool. And I know people are so excited about it. And I think it's like we're saying, I feed off their excitement, but I just really get excited that people are excited about these things. And I try to listen to what they're anticipating as far as just like game design and like neat things. I think the horror structure for games and just the horror story structure is really interesting. And unique, and you have to do it differently than you design other things. So that's what I like learning about it from friends and other people who do enjoy these. But otherwise, I'm just like, wow, cool designs. Can't play that.
I love that Resident Evil has gone first person because I dig first person games more. Like I don't have anything against third person games. I just like the immersion factor of first person. So looking forward to Resident Evil 8. And the other quick part of the news here for Xbox fans is that if you do buy Resident Evil 8 on Xbox One, and then at some point later you upgrade to a Series X or Series S, Smart Delivery will make that upgrade for you for free. So that's cool. It's good to see a major third-party game support Smart Delivery because that's a big, it's important. It's important that it's not just the first-party games that are supporting Smart Delivery. So good on Capcom on that. Now, speaking of release dates, one other one also for May 25th, Cam, Biomutant. Have you followed this one too much over the last few years? Because it definitely looks intriguing.
I have. It looks interesting, but just something about it just isn't really clicking with me. And then it just kept on getting delayed, and then we just didn't hear anything about it. And I hear that like it definitely has a lot of potential, but for me, that's definitely just a wait and see how that is received, how the gameplay ends up looking in the final build. It's just I don't know. For me, it's just one of those games where that's coming out this year that it's we'll wait and see. Like I don't need to buy this day one. I don't need to get super hyped on it. It's just we'll see how things turn out and go from there.
Brandon, did you see this at a convention at some point? Am I remembering that right?
I've never played this. No, I mean, okay. I set up the showcases with Biomutant every year for our events, but that's largely because there's not a whole lot of info about it because they usually go 6-8 months without updates. And as Cam said, it's been delayed so long. So I'm almost, outside of the coverage that we've done that I've watched, I'm almost going into it dark. And I kind of agree with Cam. It's very intriguing. It's interesting, kind of like a Neo meets, Neo from the Matrix meets like woodland critters and like old kung fu movies with robots, and it's like a weird Watership Down kind of element to it. So there's a lot to be interested in there. Again, like Cam said, I don't envision myself, grabbing this one immediately. I think I'm very curious to see reviews on it.
Yeah,
we actually just got a press release that they're doing a collector's edition for like $400 that comes with a statue. And my first thought is like the marketing has not supported that, right? Like nobody really knows anything about this game, and if you're selling a massive statue, you need to have a certain amount of hype build up around your game. So I'm very, very curious. I think it could be cool, and I will absolutely give it the benefit of the doubt. But I wanna see how it reviews first.
Go ahead, Cam.
There seems to be an ongoing trend with THQ Nordic with these absurdly expensive collector's editions. Like they did it with SpongeBob, and like I'm a big I grew up with SpongeBob, like huge SpongeBob fan, and I was just like, and I saw those like 3 statues together for like $300 some, and like I love SpongeBob, but I am not paying that much money for that. Like for a remaster of a good PS2 SpongeBob game, and then like Darksiders Genesis was like this absurdly expensive collector's edition that came with a board game. Like it was a board game that you could only get in this collector's edition. So it's like one of those things. Like I don't know. Like I feel like THQ Nordic so far has has released good but like not great games overall. So it's just that's another factor is why I'm like kind of hesitant on Biomutant. It's just since THQ Nordic has been a thing, their games have received generally well, but nothing that like I think is worth like praising. So I think that's another like factor that I'm putting into perspective as well.
Yeah, I do like their catalog that they've acquired or built up over time has such a high ceiling. I mean, Biomutant, Destroy All Humans, the Darksiders series, like they've got a lot of franchises that could do really, really awesome gangbusters. Some of them have been great. Some of them haven't. So it really that kind of pedigree for a new IP, for something that's had such a strange development cycle, I think we're all waiting on. I did find the press release for this collector's edition. It comes with a high detail diorama, 23 inches long, 10 inches wide, 12 inches high. The game, steelbook, t-shirt, oversized mouse pad, artwork, fabric, a soundtrack, and the premium box for 400 euros, $400, and 350 pounds. That's a lot of money for a game that we haven't seen a whole lot of in a long time.
Yep.
That's almost 7 games. 7 games. Seven $60 games.
Like, yeah, like I don't want to say. I don't want to like.
Yeah.
I can admit that I dropped a lot. I've dropped a lot of
Here we
money
go.
on some collector's
We're telling
editions.
truth. Yeah.
But like when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, like for those that don't know, big Kingdom Hearts fan here. I got the PS4 Pro. I got like the Bring Arts like Square Enix Store Collector's Edition, which was like $230 too on top of that. And then I bought the Deluxe Edition for Xbox. So I spent a whole lot of money on Kingdom Hearts 3. Like I waited 15 years for it. But like $400 for a game that we've hardly seen anything about. Like I can't believe if anyone would drop money on that like straight away. Like if someone saw it today and it's like I'm pre-ordering that right now, I'd been like, okay.
That's exactly right. Like if this was Kratos and the boy and Thor and they were punching each other on a mountain, like charge $500, people will buy it. Absolutely. But it's about, weird woodland critters with psionic kung fu abilities. And that is awesome, but nobody knows anything about it,
Well, and so now we'll see if their PR and marketing campaign ramps up. I do imagine we'll see it soon because Brandon, is better than anyone, along with me, is on the kind of preview side of IGN, that they've been quiet with that game for a long time. They've just been busy developing it. They're a new team, so more power to them, taking the time they need, and they're finally gonna that game was unveiled, I believe, in 2017.
17?
Okay.
So
I thought it was earlier.
It'll be about over 3.5 years between the unveiling when they first showed it and when it's actually out. So that's a long time, and so hopefully we'll be seeing more on it soon. And hopefully it's going to live up to its promises. All right, real quick before we get to the loot box, games with gold for February. Speaking of Xbox Live Gold, if you've got your gold subscription this month, Gears 5, Resident Evil, the remake of the original, and this is funny, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, which we were talking about very recently. The last major Indiana Jones game. I'm sure that's a coincidence that Microsoft is dropping the last indie game after their studio is announced to be making the next one. And then, so that was February 1st, and then Dandara Trials of Fear and Lost Planet 2 on the middle of the month, February 16th. Guys, this seems like the best games with gold in a while. Miranda?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how you wouldn't have played Gears 5 by now, but if you haven't, it's on Games with Gold.
Yeah, if you're not a Game Pass subscriber, here's your chance.
Yeah. Gears 5, Resident Evil, the Indiana Jones game, that's cool. I might look into that myself. The Lost Planet, I know that some people really like those games.
I really enjoyed them. Yeah. If you like shooting bugs in the Arctic, Lost Planet is for you.
What a pitch.
Doesn't sound for me. Doesn't sound for me then.
Yeah, not a cam.
For sure. Yeah.
Not a cam game.
It gives you the opportunity to exact your right revenge. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
that's
have
true.
the power. They have to be scared of you now.
plus they all have like convenient glowing spots on their body
That's
where
true.
the bullets make
Okay,
them
okay.
hurt extra bad. So anyway.
So yeah, some good stuff on Games with Gold this month. And with that, let's get to the loot box. Joe from the UK is on Yappa. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey guys, Joe here from the UK. Absolutely love the show. Side note, by the way, Ryan liked my tweet the other week, and I was in my Xbox group chat on WhatsApp. You know, I was proper gloating. They were jealous. I was flexing. It was fantastic. So thank you for that, Ryan. A quick question for you. Often we see halfway through a term, Xbox will release kind of an updated version of the console. Of course, we saw it with the Xbox Elite, as you all know. I'm keen to understand from you guys, what would you want to see with the Xbox Series X Elite, or whatever it's going to be called? What upgrades would you want to see? We've heard rumors about the remote control matching what PlayStation are doing. Keen to get your view. Love the show. Keep it going. Look forward to it every week. Cheers, guys.
Joe, thank you so much, and I am more than happy to have helped you, have something to brag about with your friends. So, the Xbox Series X. Cam, what do you want to see out of this thing?
Realistically, I don't think that is going to actually happen. If you ask me, I think that this, I don't know. I feel like we got that message going into this gen that this is kind of like this was like a big upgrade, and this is like what we're going to be sticking with like for the next like 5-ish years. When it comes to like the whole feedback survey about like DualSense and like those haptic feedback things for an Xbox controller, even if there was a new console, I don't think that would come with a new controller that would have those implementations. I think that would be more for the Elite Series 3 when that eventually comes out. So that's my personal viewpoint. But if there was obviously if there was hypothetically an X2 or whatever, a new Series X, like obviously, more storage, maybe like, faster processor, just the things that just make it more powerful than it already massively is. So
Miranda, how about you? What would you be looking for out of a mid-cycle refresh this time around?
While I somewhat agree with you, Cam, on maybe haptic and other controller advancements being part of an Elite Series 3, I think if Microsoft would want to implement those features in their games more, they would have to include it in more controllers than something that is like viewed as an optional upgrade. So I could see them maybe integrating that in another generation. I think you're totally on the point with just those basic standard upgrades. Like if you look at your PSA and say, what am I going to upgrade next? Those sorts of things are going to get that just for boosted in performance. I don't really know where we stand on the graphics front. It's like we already have 4K. We already have a great frame rate. I think at that point, I'm just sort of like looking at the box itself. Like, how can you make this smaller? How can you make it quieter? Can we get it back to a cube? A game cube, you could say, but with a different name. Maybe they'll just do something. It'd be really funny if they're like Xbox Series G. Or Xbox Series C. I don't know what you would do with that. What would they use? Would they X squared? X squared? X cubed?
How about QB, like capital Q, lowercase b, cube?
I think X squared works
QB.
on like 3 different levels, and that is genius marketing if anyone is listening at Microsoft.
Yes. You can't have that one for free. But
Make checks payable too.
Yes. I would like some new fountain pens. But no. That aside, I do think there are always those checkbox things that's what we wait for them to tell us too, right? It's like, how do you optimize this console to be even better than PC? It's like, how do you make this competitive with something that I can build on my own and make it better? And so that's kind of what I always look for, because honestly, like thinking about technology, getting creative in that space is really challenging. Like sometimes I just think about it, it's like, well, what would I want? And it's at that point where it's like, I kind of need you to help me figure that out too. Like, I think controller advancements are a nice integrated thing that we see have another layer of immersion. But I don't know, they could look at VR again. Honestly, I don't know if that's really something that I'm into, but there's a lot of options I think they could go forward, and it just depends on like where they want to push the gaming space forward, I think.
Well, good stuff. Joe, thank you so much for your Yappa. If you want to participate, if you want to be featured on Unlocked, leave a Yappa video comment at the bottom of the article for this episode. So just Google IGN Unlocked 479, scroll down till you see the comments, and it's right above the comments. And there's a number of ways you can log in without having to make a Yappa account. So do that, and we'll feature you and your question on a upcoming episode. Turbo round here for trivia. We are almost out of time. This is a good one, though. Matthew from West Yorkshire in the UK asks, which of these is not a species of pinata in Viva Pinata? I'm hoping Miranda's going to come through on this one. I could see this being a good Cam question as well.
No,
so here we go. Viva Pinata. One of these is fake, and the other three are actually in the game. Was it Cinnamonkey, Chunicorn, Fudgeon, or Gooba? Which of those is not the real Viva Pinata? Brandon, I'll go your way first.
Why?
Because quickly, we got to go.
B, Chunicorn, final answer. I have no idea.
All right. Cam, and do you have any idea on this one?
No, but I see a theme, and I see one that is missing that theme, so I'm going to go Gooba.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Miranda, any thoughts here?
I don't remember. I really don't, and I feel bad. I'm just gonna be different, and I'll go with A, Cinnamonkey, which I think that is a thing. So who can say?
Sadly, none of you got it.
Of course, it's Fudgeon.
Yeah,
of course.
You all picked actual Viva Pinata pinatas. So Matthew,
I thought I remembered
you stumped everybody. Well done, Matthew. If you want to try and stump the panel with an Xbox trivia question, send it in to unlocked@ign.com. And please include 4 multiple choice answers. Note the correct one in your email. And with that, it is time to wrap up. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. We do have the first 18 minutes of the medium up on IGN and on IGN's YouTube right now. If you just want to see, if you're trying to decide, should I play it? Maybe take a look at the beginning of it, see what you think. Look for that. And Brandon Tyrell.
I'm Brandon Tyrell. You can find me on Twitter at Brandon Tyrell. Also, we have a cool video about Resident Evil and what it would look like if the current Resident Evils were back in the static shots. I found really, really interesting as a huge fan of Resident Evil 2 on N64. That speaks to me. So go check that out as well.
Miranda?
I'm Miranda, and you can find me. Surprised you didn't know that. You can find me at HapicRose, and that's Hapic with a K, on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all those places. As far as guides go, we are working on a bunch of older guides right now, which is pretty fun. So please use your guides if you need help. And if there are guides that you're like, hey, why don't you guys have this? This would be great. Maybe let me know on Twitter, and maybe we'll make it happen. Who can say? But we do have a new Stardew Valley guide, and that's exciting for me.
Excellent. Love that. Cam, where can people, now that they love you, where can they follow you? You're going to be here for a while, but go ahead and promote yourself.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at CamFinalMix. I stream on Twitch from Tuesdays to Fridays, 1 to 5 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/CamFinalMix. And I write for DualShockers at DualShockers.com. You can follow DualShockers at DualShockers on Twitter. And then for those in the UK, just a little small thing, I actually have an editorial coming up in the next issue of Switch Player Magazine, which is a UK magazine. So it's on Super Mario 3D World, so you can keep an eye on that. I know it's not Xbox related, but that is something that is coming soon for you UK folks.
Good stuff this week, everybody. Do your homework, play the medium. We'll talk all about that next week. So until then, for Cam, Brandon, and Miranda, I'm Ryan. This was Unlocked 479. We'll see you next time.